We're live. Nobody's here yet, but we are
I don't
live.
blame them. It's too early.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. Yep. No.
It's early in the morning.
Yep. So we'll explain this to everybody. I'm just going to go for it. They can watch it.
Yeah. I think we're
So, all right, guys. What we're doing, we're going to make a video on how to use your ring set. Okay? Now, I was reluctant to do a set because no one follows directions. And I include myself in that. But when you're doing these type of things, it's important that you have some instruction.
Do you have the forming die?
Yeah, there's a whole box of them behind you.
Well, the one that came with the kit.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
So, we're going to go ahead and do this. And you're going to watch. This isn't like a kit from Michaels or Hobby Lobby where it's guaranteed success. Okay? This requires some skill. You're not going to create Art Deco die-struck jewelry if you've never made a piece of jewelry in your life just because I gave you a kit. Okay? So, just understand that. We're doing our best to make it as easy as possible, but
It's not foolproof.
it's not foolproof. Like, I want to be a pro basketball player, but I suck. It's not going to happen no matter how hard I try. I have no coordination. So here we go. We're going to stamp out. I'm using 18 gauge sterling silver because that's a good thickness for a ring, for this type of ring, okay? I put it in there like that. And I know that some of you are thinking, why didn't he put the tab here and flip it vertical? Well, if I do that, the whole thing wavers and it pushes to the side. It's bad. So we're doing it like this, and you're going to get a little bit of a, you're going to have to cut a tab. Let me remove my pusher here. Anybody watching these shenanigans?
4
yet?
people.
All right. All right. So in order to make a ring, you're going to need 2 of these because I've already been getting questions from people. I don't see how you make a ring like that. That's not possible. And I'm like, oh, jeez. All right.
Danielle Miller says, come on, Kevin, you could be like Jordan. Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah. I'm the Michael Jordan of hobby craft is what I am. Or the Michael Jordan of half-ass. So, here's our part. I'm going to do just 1/2 of it to confuse everybody. Mm-hmm. But it's basically just do this twice, okay? So there's our half. Now, the next step, we need to make this impression. So you'd set that on top of there. Now, I know there's people who are skipping ahead in the video, and they're going to go, he left the thing on, you don't take it off. No, you take it off. Sorry for my poor vocal impression.
This is the beloved Beverly Shear.
Yep. And we save our little pieces of silver because we like to melt them down and make new silver.
And reuse it.
All right. Now, this is a critical point. All I'm going to do is you want to get this aligned straight. And notice how this is larger than this. The reason is because I can't make a pancake die with that thin of a piece. It won't work. So I'm going to set this on here just like that. I'm going to use my tool steel pusher. Okay? Little short one like this. These are helpful. You're going to center it. And then you're going to use spacers because you don't want to spend your day pumping a jack up. Now this is where people are going to get confused. Watch what we do. This is the most critical part. And this is where everyone's going to say, it didn't work for me. You need to trim it. But I pressed it to get my outline. So I'm going to sit down at my bench and I'm going to saw this out. It helped. The only thing I can do is just to help you get close. Mm-hmm. We can't get you all the way there. So I'm going to saw this out, because what's happening is no matter how hard you press this, this is not going to go into the hole because all of this metal is preventing it. It's all hung up on the outer edge. So when I trim this off, it's going to press real quickly. So let's go sit down and do that. So you'll grab a saw. I can't see anymore, so I have to use my C-biggers. Thank you for bearing with me while I cut this out. Now watch me try not to break your blade making the turn. We're not like those YouTube jewelers who edit out the saw blade breakage.
You keep it real.
We're keeping it real. Little piece of silver. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to cut your prongs out. Trust me on this. It's going to help you. This doesn't require a whole lot of tonnage to make this stamping. When they were making these things, they were using like a 5-ton fly press. Okay? You've got a 20-ton press. So I need to like explain to people that you don't need 20 tons to do anything we're doing. Alright, now we're going to cut the last section here. They just get smaller and harder to hold. Mm-hmm. Is anyone bearing with me through this
12
tedious?
People.
12 brave souls bearing with me as I gnaw my way through a piece of silver. If you have one of those cool little band saws, you should use it.
If you don't like sawing, just practice. Just do a lot of it.
Yeah. Okay. There is our ring. All right, now watch the magic. We're going to press it. It's going to go right down in that die. I'll have you know that my electric hydraulic press is set, it maxes out at around 12 tons. The one that's here in the shop. I've set it super low so that we don't accidentally overpress things. So let's see what 12 tons gets us. Center your work. We're going to rotate. So, there's our piece. And
Ta-da.
ta-da! It's perfect. Okay? Now, you can choose to saw or file. Or use a rotary file. Watch. I'm just going to go at this with a rotary file because you guys don't need to watch me saw again. You can get these on eBay. They're very inexpensive, like $10 for a whole box of them. They're carbide rotary files. They last forever.
Get the 3/32. And
Yep, you got to get the 3/32. Unless, of course, you're using the big flex shaft, and then you can. So just go up your thing. Perfect. Your part's going to get very hot. All right. That looks pretty good. Let me look up here at the prongs. So, this is going very quickly because if you were to actually have to make one of these rings by hand and hand engrave everything and form it, yeah, you'd be a couple hours in it. And here we're only a couple minutes. So I'm going to use my saw to cut. Somebody didn't make this nice and tight.
somebody.
Yeah. Now it's nice and snug. So, carefully cut your prongs out. If you don't want the prongs, like if you want to make a bezel or something, feel free to remove the prongs. You can do lots of stuff with these rings. And you remember, you got to do this twice. So I would probably, rather than do one side, I'd probably do both at once. You know, that way you're doing the same steps. Do both of your pressings. Cut out 2 pieces. Almost there. If anyone's wondering, it's a 2/0 saw blade. I like 2/0 saw blades. I don't know why. I don't like those super thin ones. They just seem to bust. I always hear people complaining about breaking blades, and I'm like, what are you using? They're using, like, you know, a fine piece of hair. I should really get a bench pan.
Something.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Okay. So there's our piece. And now we're about to start on the part that is going to cause everybody, including myself, a great deal of suffering and consternation. This is where the suffering is going to really come in, because I know a lot of you are all about full send on that press. You just feel like we are going to drive this thing as hard as we possibly can. If you do that, you will destroy all of your engraving, and you will destroy the ring. Okay? And there's a chance I might wreck this ring too. But what I'm going to do, do we have any of the painter's tape around?
Ooh, I have not
I
seen
think there's someone here on my desk. Let's get some painter's tape.
Okay.
Now to protect the engraving. here's tape. Oh, we do. It's terrible. I'm going to use this. This is too thin. Let's just go to the packing room and see about getting some. Man, I can't believe we don't have any tape. Unbelievable.
It's probably somewhere.
It is. So get some tape. I'm using the most convenient piece of tape that I could find. Definitely not the best choice, just the most convenient. Okay? And what I'm going to do is, if I had a pair of scissors, you know what, I'm just going to use the Beverly shear.
Cut the paper.
Just cut the paper, because it's pretty awesome that the Beverly shear will cut the paper.
Kind of impressive.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to throw a second piece of paper of this tape on top of my thing here. Okay. So this is what we've got. That right there. Let me clear the top edge here. Nothing fancy. So here comes the hard part that I know. This is where everyone who skipped the video are going to call me. So what we're going to do. So this is your die. This is a forming die. I have made adjustments to every single forming die. I've gone in with a ball burr and clearanced so that the prongs don't get deformed. Okay? On this one here, we're going to just set it right on top like this. And this is not going to 100% form this piece. It's just going to get you going in the right direction. Okay? Let's do it. So you get your piece in there. You can see it kind of sitting in there. And I'm going to use a tiny piece of urethane like this. We're talking, if you don't have one this small, cut one.
Use scissors, use a shear.
Sure, whatever you want to do, chew on it, I don't care, just make a tiny piece. Now, let me trim this stuff back a little bit. It's a little hard, I got too much tape on it. Let me use my rotary burr. All I'm trying to do is protect the engraving.
Show you this drop hammer in the meantime. Drop hammer came from Van Cranist.
I think painter's tape would be like the perfect thing for this. This packing tape that I'm using is terrible. But you probably are not going to have that kind of tape. So you want to get this right in there. Like that. Kind of get it started. Push it down a little bit.
So it gets seated a little bit.
And you're going to set your piece of urethane like that. Okay?
Get a good picture on top. Got it.
All right. And now, this is the most critical part that no one is going to believe. So watch this. We get our metal put in there. And I am not going to just push this, because I know all of you guys think there's one speed on this press and it is full power all the time. I'm going to just bump this thing. I bet you this gauge isn't even going to register. That's all I did. Starting to curl up here on the edges. Starting to curl there. Let's go a little harder. But, I mean, we're not doing anything. The only reason we're doing it this way is because I know you guys have this tool if you're looking at this video.
You can see the gauge didn't even register.
Right. So we're going in the right direction. And that's it. That's all we're going to do.
It will not go to the bottom of the forming die.
Yeah, do not do that. So watch what we're going to do next. What you're going to need to do this is, where's my...
Are they right there?
Yeah, these are them, but I ground these myself on a belt sander. So what you'll probably want to use is a pair of, I swear to God, where are my chain nose pliers? Unbelievable. No, the round nose ones? Unbelievable. So nobody watch where I hide my pliers. I bought myself a whole new set of pliers.
Top secret.
Yeah, these are all top secret. I haven't even used them yet. My pliers just disappear on a regular basis. Oh, look at these.
You can keep them in my office, Kev. They'll be safe.
Check these out. These look pretty sweet. These are my new... I've never had Swanstroms before. I've always bought Lindstroms. But being that I got arthritis, I need bigger handles.
Got the cushion handles.
Yeah, these are...
Oh, I like those.
I know. So, let's try it with these. So notice, I've taken my tape off, and you notice how it's just laying right in there? There is no need to press any further. This is just to get you going in the right direction, okay? Now, if you definitely want to leave your tape on, because you don't want to scar up your part with the pliers, okay? So, here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to just, this is literally how they did it. We're just going to bend them. Leave your tape on. I don't have my tape on, and you can see what it's doing to the surface. I'm literally ruining my stamping, but I'm doing it so that you guys can see. Just bend them around. And if you wanted to use a dapping punch or some urethane and press it further doing other things, it's just a forming job. We're making rings, not rockets. So you'd have two of these and you'd solder them together. And then for this part, and I promise you, this is what they did at a factory. This is where the jewelers came in. The die makers got them as close as they could get them. But they sat at a bench. Let me grab a ring mandrel. Get yourself a little leather mallet. It's very thin gauge material. It's easy to use. For some reason, people 100 years ago, I don't know what it was. I think it was lack of food. They didn't have big fingers. Everything, all these rings are like size 5.
Size 4.
They're all tiny. So you're going to want to leave your tape on there or use cushioned pliers. But there it is. So you'll make your other half, solder the two halves together, solder it at the bottom, and you're going to form it and bend it and slide it up a ring mandrel, and you're going to have a ring. That's literally all there is to it. But yeah, this isn't going to get you all the way there. None of these do. It just gets you close. Gets you moving in the right direction, okay? It's sort of a little aid. But I want you to think about how long this took me. How long have we been on here? And I've been babbling on.
Yeah, it can't be 20 minutes maybe.
Right. You can have a completed ring in probably 30, 40 minutes. If you were to hand make this from zero and hand engrave it,
Days.
So we're doing as much of the work as we can for you, but I can't do it all. You're going to have to do a little bit, okay? The next one we're doing, where did I put it? It's a bigger one. Same process, same concept. Initially, I was going to do this for you guys, a pusher. And I realized that if I do that, you guys are going to drive this thing completely home.
That's true.
And yeah, it's going to mangle the piece.
Someone asked, do you add a step in the stone part to hold the stone?
Yeah, you're going to have to.
Yeah. This
have
is
to.
just basically getting you the skeleton, and then you have to tap into experience and...
If you're setting a round stone, like a faceted stone, not like a piece of turquoise, but if you were setting, like, say, a diamond, these were originally struck in platinum, and you would just cut a seat in these prongs. And you could also put an extra prong here on the end, like they would actually solder another piece of wire in the middle so that it completes the prongs all the way around. So you'd have, it just gets you started. It's an aid. It's not going to finish the ring for you. This isn't a kit. They were all this way because they would change the shape. Like some of these, you could take the exact same stamping, okay? And you could put it in this former. Same stamping, but it would just shape it differently. So this would make it square. And then this one would put a little step on the edge, bend it a different way. Okay? This is for a long one. So you'd work it through a series of dies to get there. So like if you had a really long T-shank, this one would build it that way. They're all different, but there's no way I can provide you with a copy of every single former.
Because these would have, I would imagine, have been for a specific gauge also.
They are. They're all for a very specific gauge. Here's a more delicate version. They're all different. So we kind of shoot up the middle with something that's fairly easy. And this is a different style of ring. They're numbered. So you can see different shanks and sizes. So we have all of these different ring shapes. And this is a nice shape for a round. It's a smaller ring. So it's a good one. It's an easy one to start with. It's not too complicated. And I think about 90% of you are going to be able to pull this off without calling me names. So I think that's where we're at.
Someone said, so seat for faceted stone and step for cab?
Yep. Exactly. Yep. Or you could solder a bezel on the top of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
there are no rules.
There's no rules. This isn't, I know that when you're a beginner, people think there's rules.
You want one answer.
Right. Making jewelry, you're literally making this to just work. Just make it work. Whatever use your problem solving skills. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it ends up needing glue, you're just learning.
Right.
You're just learning. Just do the best you can.
Practice in copper. Make 10 in copper.
Exactly. Make a bunch in copper before you commit to silver or gold or, God forbid, platinum. Just practice.
And mess a bunch up.
You will. And it's not the end of the world. And if you learn to roll metal, you won't care if you mess up.
Yeah.
You really won't. Because I know how agonizing it is for people when they're buying silver sheet at retail. There is no wholesale in silver. But when you're buying an ounce of silver and paying like $40 for it, and you get a little square, because I know all of you guys like to order a 6x6. That's the dream of every hobbyist. I want 6 inches by 6 inches. No one. You're not making a 6 inch of anything. So when you go to roll your own metal, roll an ounce.
Yeah.
I think this is what makes rolling mill manufacturers insane. This one thing. Because I'd never bought a 6x6 of metal. I didn't realize this was a thing until I met a lot of hobbyists, and they would call me wanting, like when we sell 1 ounce silvers flattened, and they go, how big is it? I go, well, it's 1 ounce. And I'm selling it to you for like $5 over market price. And they're like, but how big it? I'm like, yeah, I'm just completely confused all the time. But if you were to melt 1 ounce of silver, you can roll 1 ounce of silver. You can melt 1 ounce of silver with your little torch.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Okay, let's do that. What do you think, Annie?
I mean, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do.
I've been beating this drum for years.
I know years ago you and I did a video when we were next door.
So let's take a bunch of scrap and let's melt it down into a little tiny bar. And I'm going to use a little torch. So if you have a tiny torch, you are not going to be able to melt a pound of silver. And if you're running like a manual rolling mill,
you're not going to want to.
You are never going to roll a 6-inch wide ingot. It's never going to happen. Not ever. I got a 25 horsepower rolling mill, and I don't even try that. I could do it, but it's just a big waste of time because I don't need 6 inches wide.
John Jelly said, I roll an ingot about 3/4 of an inch wide. It gets me everything I need, and it's easier to roll than anything wide.
So here's what I'm going to melt.
Probably about an ounce.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more.
Let's weigh it. Because I know, and then look at my dirty crucible. Everyone agonizes about their crucible. Oh, it's ruined. This isn't ruined, it's just fine.
It's just ugly.
Yeah, let's throw this on the scale.
Hold on. Found it. Up on the floor.
Are you using new metal? No. I've melted this metal 50 times. Let's clear our scale. 29 grams. Perfect. If you have a giant crucible, it's going to take forever to melt your metal.
Get one of the little whip one. The little.
Get one of these from Craig.
Yeah. I think they're the
Craig
whip.
Dabler at DIY Castings. He sells these things and even sells them pre-seasoned.
Yeah, that we
They're
don't.
great. That's where I get mine. Mostly
Me too.
because Craig's my buddy, and he lives around the corner from me. So let's. I'm going to do it with my little torch because that's what you guys have. I know you guys are not running these giant mixers. And here's what we're going to use. It's an open
Steel ingot.
ingot mold. And we're gonna. I'll get right here. So here we go. We're gonna get our ingot mold in here. I'm gonna turn on my torch. I'm gonna hide my pliers.
Top secret.
Top secret. Down here I have
More secret.
a box full of torch tips. Oh, my penny collection, that ruined it for me. Oh, there they are. So use this one.
The rosebud.
Use the rosebud torch. Unscrew this.
I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to use that if you use the disposable tanks.
Yeah, it might be a little much.
Yeah.
It'll probably, it's not like it's going to blow up or something, but you're just going to run out of juice. I need a striker.
There was an unopened one in the bottom drawer.
Oh, no way.
Farther back.
Ho ho. This is another thing that was in short supply around here.
Yes.
I'm on the struggle bus this morning.
It's okay. It's just Monday.
Yeah. Got it.
So there's the silver scrap in the dirty looking crucible, but it's just fine.
Yep. Purge my valve. There we go.
Nice fresh striker.
It's a little bit of an oxidizing flame, but I don't care. I want to melt this quickly. So I'm going to warm this up a little bit. Doesn't need to be super hot. I'm doing it on a wooden stool, which is just a bad idea.
It's really not a great idea.
No,
It's
it's
fine.
not. But we're good. Notice it melting pretty quickly. When you're casting, that's when it becomes a problem, using old junky metal. That's when it's a serious problem. When you're doing rolling out stock, not that big a deal. I know there's going to be people who disagree, but it's alright. Funny how long it takes with this little torch.
Yeah.
I'm so used to just hitting it with
The monster.
the monster and getting it done. So if you do have the ability to get a bigger torch, you get one. It'll save you a lot of time. So we got this melted in short order. If you were using, like, these little crucibles heat up very quickly. Those big ones, they don't. They're a pain. And notice how it's running clear at the top? And your temptation is going to be to pour like that. No. Let me show you how we do it. Get it right up to the edge. Keep the fire going.
And just let it roll.
And just let it roll in. Alright. Let's take this over and quench it.
Like,
It didn't get too hot.
bench is fine.
Yep. Alright. Let's roll that right out there. And it's on the floor. It's probably still hot, so we're not going to touch it.
Nope.
We're going to get a pair of pliers or tweezers.
Deborah, it's a well-used and loved crucible. Yes.
I
Yeah.
use them until they break. Mostly because we drop them. Alright. Now, here is our little blob. If you have a lot of flux on it, you want to clean it off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
You can pickle it or
Mm-hmm.
grind
I wish I had, check this out. I just got one of these.
it.
Olivia Mills. I haven't got it set up. But if you have strength issues, this is probably a good way to go. It looks like a really nice machine. It's a lot of cranking from the couple times I've used it, but I haven't got it set up. So we're just going to go use the regular mill. But watch how quickly this breaks down. Okay, when you want to make this wider, I'll show you how to do it. So we're going to roll it this way first, then we're going to roll it to make a wide piece. Okay? So here we go. With an electric mill, you watch
I'm
your
gonna sneak
fingers.
over here.
Now, let me show you a trick. We want to roll this way now, okay? So I'm going to put it in here. But if I was to attempt to do this, I could snag my fingers And it would just be the most horrific thing. So we're not going to snag our fingers. We're going to use a wooden stick. And the reason we use wood, do not use your tweezers. Do not use your pliers. Because what will happen is you'll run your steel tweezers through your rolling mill and mess up your rolls.
Yes.
And then you'll call me and ask if I refinish rolls, and I don't anymore. So, you use wood. If this goes through the rolling mill, it doesn't matter.
It just
Not gonna
shatters.
hurt anything. It just
Yeah.
rolls it.
Yeah.
So watch how this works. And your fingers don't get massacred.
Sort of tips it in.
Yep. There we go.
If you have a manual mill, this isn't an
This
issue.
isn't an issue with a manual mill. This is my biggest fear in life, honestly, is just getting sucked into a rolling mill. When I saw that people started buying these things, oh man, I've been, because if you start off with a manual rolling mill, you don't think anything of putting your fingers right in front of the mill. So look at how much I've reduced this, and we haven't even annealed it yet.
That's what somebody said. When is it time to anneal?
We've reduced it about 50%.
Yep.
So let's go anneal it. How long has this taken me?
I don't have
Maybe-
a countdown, but
So I'm going to just hit it with the big torch because it's convenient. And I've proven that we can do it. This is where I blow myself up. Heat it to a dull red. Don't go nuclear. I don't pickle in between either. I'm teaching you guys all the bad habits. I do dry it off on my shirt so I don't get water on my rolls.
we have a big quench bucket over here.
Yeah. So, dry it off on your overalls. Take a look. It's looking pretty good. We'll have a perfectly usable sheet here in a second.
Not too shabby.
I'm not advancing it any more than a person with a rolling mill would advance it. Actually, we're good now. So there we are. There's our sheet. Looks to be about 18 gauge. And
It was just scrap that was
just scrap.
sitting unused.
So let's punch out the next side. So you could make this whole ring. You could buy a single ounce of silver, alloy it, and make this entire ring for, 25, 30 bucks. Actually, you'd only have about 15 bucks in it. Do you see how hard that snapped? Our
'Cause
silver is
silver's-
very hard. So, notice how I'm not going to just grab this and break it off. It's really on there. There we go. Don't be a savage and stick pliers under there.
Or a screwdriver.
Or a screwdriver. Use a leather mallet
And just pop it
and
out.
just pop it out. Alright? So we'll just call it a day there.
Cool.
Since you guys have Anyone who wants to watch this again can kind of rewind, but
This is sort of taking us back to the beginning again.
Yes.
So that's perfect.
yes. But you can see how with that 1 ounce, you could easily punch out 2 pieces. The way I would do it, I would do them opposing like that. You get both of your shanks out of 1 ounce, melt it down again. I bet you get 2 or 3 rings. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching.